In the name of the living God, Father, Son, and Amen. Please be seated. My text for this Sunday, this St. John Sunday, is taken from the Gospel according to St. John, 1st chapter, 7th verse. He came as a witness to testify to the light, that all might believe through him. I thought that everyone in Lancaster County either knew about or had seen the movie Witness. Until at the 8 o'clock congregation, I did a quick survey, and people under 10 don't know about this. But with the exception of people under 10, well, let me check. So teenage Witness, guys heard the movie? No, don't know me? All right, kind of a little sketchy on this part. But older, well, it's an old movie. It was made back in 1980. It's over 30 years old now. And it featured Harrison Ford, right? We know him from Star Wars, but this is back when he was young and handsome. And it was Kelly McGillis, that was the other major star. And what's particularly significant for us in Lancaster, it was filmed here in Lancaster County on an Amish farm just outside of Strasburg. And so for us in Lancaster, it's a particularly important movie, if only for that. I mean, the appeal in part is just the cinematic beauty of the film depicting the magnificent farmscape of Lancaster County. These beautiful shots of panning the fields and the sunlight. I mean, it is really kind of gives the bucolic quality of the life that we enjoy here in Lancaster. And of course, there's the personal appreciation. You can go like, oh, I know that place. I've been there. You kind of really identify with this movie. It's very satisfying if you're living in Lancaster. But more than just the visual of the movie, there's also the deeper quality of that movie, and that's about the relationship, about the values and the beliefs that shape the community of the Amish and make their lives a witness to what they believe, and particularly their values around nonviolence and forgiveness and reconciliation, their peace-making attitude toward life. And all this is brought out through that relational quality in the characters of this movie. So the reason it's called Witness is because of the storyline in it. Just quickly, for those who don't know or maybe have forgotten, it's about a Philadelphia police detective named John Book, who is investigating a brutal homicide that took place in the 30th Street station in Philadelphia and was witnessed by a young Amish boy named Samuel. And Detective Book has to protect Samuel and his mother, and in so doing, the detective is shot. He is wounded, and with the three of them, they flee Philadelphia and come to the family farm in Strasburg, and there Detective Book experiences healing, recovery, and eventually solves the mystery. So the title Witness really has a twofold meaning. On the visual level, it refers to Samuel, the witness who saw what had happened. But on a deeper level, it refers to the relationships that are uncovered through the experience of Detective Book living among the Amish. Because Witness does have this twofold quality of meaning. There's that meaning on the surface, the visual part, of someone who sees something, reports something, observes something, that person being called to the witness stand in a courtroom to give testimony, to share what they had seen as a kind of witness to what had happened visually. But then there's a deeper quality of that witness, which has to do with relationships, with the values and beliefs that we hold, and how those values and beliefs shape our lives, our decisions, our actions, the way we live, these things that we believe based on who we believe in. And that's what the story in the gospel this morning is about. It's about a man named John. And curiously, that's how John the Evangelist refers to the person we call John the Baptist. He doesn't call him John the Baptist. He calls him simply a man named John. And the reason the evangelist does that is because in the worldview of John the Evangelist, there is the sign and that which is significant. There's the thing and that which is meaningful. And so for the Baptist, for St. John the Evangelist, the Baptist, doing baptism was important, but what's greater important was its significance. And so for him, the reason John comes into the world isn't to baptize Jesus. It's to witness to him. It's to testify. It's to proclaim him through his life and through his ministry of baptism. And so, on one level, you have John the Baptist living out this visual witness to Jesus. He points to him and calls his disciples and says, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world." There's that visual quality of reporting and observing kind of witness. And that's reinforced for us in this morning's gospel, where a delegation from the court, the Sanhedrin in Jerusalem, is sent out to the wilderness to interview John. They want to know what's going on because they're worried. They're worried that this John figure way out there in the wilderness, northern Israel, doing this baptism thing, is this a political action? Is there something revolutionary in this? Is he going to spark a rebellion that's going to make the Romans angry? They want to get out in front of all this. So the court in Jerusalem sends this delegation basically to do, what do you call it? A deposition. They question him as they would in a court. And the first question they ask John is, "Are you the Messiah?" And John answers, "No." And they go, whew. Because if he was, that meant a whole peck of trouble. So that was a good answer. But then they needed to know, well, if you're not the Messiah, are you Elijah? He says, nope. Well, if you're not the Elijah, how about the prophet? Nope, not the prophet either. Well, how about none of the above? Yes. John votes for none of the above. And then he goes on to say what he understands his identity to be. That he is the one who has been sent by God to cry aloud in the wilderness and help prepare the way for the coming of the Messiah. And it's interesting how John phrases his answer. Firstly, because it's a statement of immense humility. Here he is, the last of the great prophets, laying the groundwork for the coming of the Messiah, and when asked who he is, all he says, "I'm just a voice crying in the wilderness." And there is this way in which greatness and humility complement each other. The second thing is how he understands his identity based on not what he does so much as the purpose and mission for which he is called. To proclaim in the wilderness a message in preparation for the coming of the Messiah. It's not about his baptism. His baptism is about his mission, which is to prepare the way of the Lord. And it's in that relational quality that gives John's ministry its meaning. His values, his beliefs are drawn from the person he believes in, the one who is coming, the one who is in their midst and they don't even know it, the one who will be the light of the world. It is that element of witness that John calls our attention to in the person of Jesus, the light of the world. Now, on this St. John Sunday, we also bear witness in that same form, both visual as well as personal, as we celebrate some of the saints among us. Where's Joe and April Way? Well, there's April. Where'd Joe get to? He's in the back, always. And Doug Brown, our local Mason, who just opened up our time capsule for us, and Angela Cuthbert, and Sophie, and Chloe, are celebratory figures for this Sunday. The vestry always has a hard time with this task, trying to select among the many members and many ministries of this parish to lift up and celebrate. But when you hear the resolution read, you'll understand the reason they have selected them for this witness. For the observation of their ministries is something to be lifted up with great thanksgiving. But it's not just their activities that we want to celebrate. We want to also call to mind that other dimension of witness, which is that personal, relational quality. For it is within the context of our community that these people share with us their gifts, their ministry. It is in educating our teens. It is in leading them to adulthood. It is by witnessing and role modeling for their children and for all our children that we give thanks, for we enjoy the benefit of the light that they share with us in our community of faith. We celebrate them this Sunday because of that continuity of witness, going back to John, who came to bear testimony, to witness to the light of Christ in the world. And that witness and testimony continues in our lives today as we gather and celebrate these wonderful people among us, the light of Christ that they draw into their lives, and that light of Christ that they share with us, bringing testimony to the light of Jesus, witness to his presence, that all may believe through him. Amen.
Standing and turning